Okay, good morning, everybody. We apologize for the delay in getting this up. We've had some technical difficulties. We know not everybody is seeing the live feed, but we will be posting it after the fact. So if you miss it live, you can absolutely still watch and ask your comments in the questions, or any questions you have in the comments below, and we will absolutely get to them. So I want to start it off. I'm here with Angie Henley, who is the City of Mansfield's Special Events Manager, right?
Hello, yes.
Hi, Angie. And how long have you been with the city, Angie?
Going on 9 years.
9 years. So odds are, if you lived in Mansfield for the last 9 years, you have seen or been to one of Angie's events. So pretty much all of the city 5Ks or special events, hometown holidays, Rockin' 4th of July, big, small, she does it all, right? So everybody else in the city comes to Angie when we have a question, we're planning something. So we wanted to be able to give you guys, the residents, that same benefit of all of her knowledge. We know summer is coming, everybody's planning events, big family get-togethers, nobody's seen each other in a long time, or maybe it's just a birthday party, whatever it is, you want to make it special. It's been a while since we've been together, and you want to make it fun, and you want it to be successful. That's always the big thing. So if you have a question for Angie, just leave it in the comments. We'll ask them live as we can get to them, or again, she can log on later after the fact and answer them there. So first up, what is the first thing that you do when you're planning an event?
The very first thing I do is set the date. We will determine what type of, we will do that second. So the date, we pick a date. Right,
and so, summer events in Texas, weather is always a factor. So how do you work around like Texas weather?
There's lots of things you can do. Obviously you can do indoor, which takes care of everything. You can do outdoor, and then when you're doing outdoor, you'll just based on the time of the day. Have it later in the evening if you want it to be cooler. If you want it to be hot, it's a pool party. Right smack in the middle of the day is perfect timing.
Very good. And a lot of that too depends on like the month. Like I know August is a lot hotter than June, and even sometimes September. My daughter has a September birthday, and we always we're surprised how warm it was in September. One of my favorite things about Angie, something that I learned after we started, is the first thing she consults when she's looking at planning a date. What is that, Angie?
The Farmer's Almanac. Yes, and it has a year in advance, so you can check out any date for the year, and yes, I do. I have family members that are farmers, and they're the only people that I knew that were still checking the Farmer's Almanac. But Angie uses it and swears by it that it is actually pretty good as far as how rainy or warm a specific time of the month or whatever is going to be for the year. So that's a big one, right? Absolutely. So after we've set the date, then what are we looking at? The next thing I do is choose the theme for that event. So what I will do, whether it's a large event or if it's a small intimate birthday party or an event, I will pick a theme, and that will help determine the decor, the food, the entertainment. So once you have that kind of takes care of all the other nitty gritty.
Very good. So it seems like there's just a million ideas out there. How do you get your best ideas for a theme, for the food, for something different, unique?
Well, lots of my whole theory on events is that keep it simple, is that you do not need to reinvent the wheel. You can, if there was an event that you went to that you liked, or if there was something on TV you saw you liked, incorporate that into your event. It does not have to be new and fresh. It can be popular, and that's okay. So just kind of go with the flow.
Yeah, we joke about that. Like everybody always wants to have something totally different and unique, but I mean, things are popular for a reason, and they're not going to be popular for that long. So there's no reason why you shouldn't lean into a trend just because it's trendy, because the odds are people are actually going to like it. And when we're talking about like themes for events and things like that, a lot of it really depends on who the event is for and what the purpose of the event is.
Absolutely, yes. Obviously, if it's a holiday, that makes it pretty simple, what the theme will be. If it's for children, for the first probably 8 years of my special event career, I based it all on what my children like to do, because I knew that they would be attending it, and if I could keep them entertained, more than likely the rest of the community would be entertained as well. Now, that's a little different for events for adults, but just keep in mind, again, like what's trendy right now, or what's fun for you.
Right.
I think that always helps.
Absolutely. And I think like you were saying about like children and stuff, I think, it's easy to want to do the really cool, trendy things that are all over Pinterest. But if it's not something that's going to be fun for 3-year-olds, even if it makes a good Instagram picture, it might not be the best activity for the party. Save that for, a party just for the moms or something like that.
I will say, when I have events or festivals that involve children, my number one on my list is to wear them out. I find if a kid or a family comes to an event and they are active for the entire event or a portion of it and they go home tired, then our event was successful.
Absolutely. I know when my girls were small, that would always be our cue to leave, is when they were miserable. And so whether that was because they were too tired or they were bored. So that's a really good thing if you want to have the whole family there, to try and think of things for different ages to be doing, so that the kids don't get bored before the parents are ready to leave, to have different activities for them to be doing and things like that. So yeah, but I think keeping it simple is a really great tip. I think everybody really wants, especially because, like I said, we haven't been together in a long time, so everybody's real excited. You really want to have something that's memorable. You want to have your event be something special that people are going to remember. So what kind of tips do you have for making an event really memorable and really last for people?
I will say, we've had this, Anna and I have had this conversation many times, where when you're beginning to plan an event, you want all the things to be memorable. You want everything to be fantastic. You want the food to be great. You want the decor to be fantastic, look like you had a decorator. But
it's the curse of Pinterest, really.
Yes.
You can't be on Pinterest and not want to do all the things. Yes.
True. So what we do now is make sure that one thing is super fantastic that they are going to remember and they are going to talk about. Everything should be great at the event, but one thing in particular should be memorable. Back to the children and planning events, when I would do their birthday parties, we would do an old-fashioned, now this is years ago because they're older, we would do an old-fashioned scavenger hunt. And those kids would talk about that for the entire year. And so when the next birthday party came around, they would be like, are we going to have a scavenger hunt?
Right.
So my advice for children would be some kind of active entertainment. I know bounce houses are great for people. They are not my favorite, just because I like the kids to go more old school, field days. Stuff that you did when you were a child that you had a good time with is always good to incorporate into a party with kids, something that they've never done before.
Right.
Or a movie they've never seen before. We did a Halloween event 2 years ago before COVID, and we showed Poltergeist, which the children had never seen that before. And
I want to clarify, they were teenagers. We did not show it to children. We did not show it to children.
Yes.
It's a different kind of event.
But being in the theater with kids who have never seen that movie watching it, and you know what happened, it's very entertaining.
Absolutely.
They loved it.
I think it's like having something different or unexpected. So I think that's, if you think about, places that you've been, or if you go to a festival or an event or a party, the things that you talked about after the fact, think about those things. The last wedding you went to, the last big event, what was it that had you talking afterwards? And odds are it wasn't like the tablecloths. It probably wasn't the dishes. It probably wasn't, the salad and, things like that. Those are kind of the areas where, as long as it's good quality and consistent, there's not a lot of pressure to make that the standout part. But if you can find one thing that's just unexpected or surprising or different, and like you said about the field day, a lot of times just bringing back something that you remember, like bringing up an old memory is really fun. And then for little ones, it's a new memory because it's something new. And exciting. So, I think anytime you can do something different. And obviously photos. We love photos.
We do love photos. Always, we suggest that at any event that you have to at least have one great photo opportunity, no matter their age. Older people, younger people, and the littlest of people all know how to work a cell phone and love to get their pictures on the gram.
Absolutely,
so, yes.
Absolutely, yeah. And setting up that photo area doesn't have to be super elaborate. You do not have to, buy, a printed backdrop cloth kind of thing. We have teenagers now, and so they will be the first to tell you that the more photo booth it is, the less they're interested in participating. They don't want the mustaches on sticks like used to be so popular.
And I can't tell you how many times we have found a great photo opportunity of things that were just sitting in the garage.
Right.
So don't go out and buy everything, or if you do, spend very little money on it and just find what you have laying around the house. Sometimes that can be a sheet to hang up, and then you can paint it in something that goes along with the theme. Yeah. We do like to keep things as inexpensive as possible, because the more money that you save on events, the more of the decor you can spend it on other parts of the event.
Absolutely. And we are operating on a city budget, and everybody knows city governments have all sorts of money to spend on things. So we are absolutely, but there are a lot of really great, a lot of like the fringe and balloon garlands. Again, Pinterest or Instagram, you can find tons of tutorials to do those yourself with stuff from the Dollar Tree. So it doesn't have to be super elaborate. My favorite tip, because I'm really big on pictures, is always to figure out where you're going to do the pictures and check it, a day or two beforehand at the same time of day that people will be taking pictures, to make sure that the lighting is good, because you don't ever want to ask people to take pictures at a place where they're going to be looking directly in the sun and they will be like squinting, or their eyes will be closed, or whatever kind of thing. So you want to be able to sort of figure out what the lighting is going to look like at the time, so that you can make sure that it'll look the best, and then make adjustments as going. And that kind of leads to our next part of it. So when you actually get to preparing for the event, what kind of prep work is important, Angie, to make sure that the event goes smoothly?
I would say the number one prep work to me is space. I am not the best at looking at a space and saying, oh, I can fit 72 tables exactly right. So my suggestion would be there is to go to the venue, if it's not at your house, and actually do some measurements. We recently had an event outdoors, and in my mind, the event space was a lot smaller than it really is. And I went out a week before and actually measured it. Or go with Google Maps if it's outdoors. You can do that. Measure it online, which is super convenient. And I actually try to build a scale of the seating arrangement. Seating arrangements are very important to any event. You want to make sure that when the seats are fully pulled back, that people can walk around. You want to make sure it's ADA accessible. You want to make sure that if there's something that people are going to be looking at, that they don't have to pick up their chair and turn it completely around. If you can do tables at vertically instead of horizontally, it helps. That way everybody can just turn half. I know that sounds silly, but
no, that's a good tip. That makes sense. Yeah.
So just where everybody's going to be viewing ahead of time, make sure that you have enough porta potties ordered.
We have to have porta potties a lot, but
Yes.
whatever kind of facilities people are
Yes.
going to be needing, you want to make sure that you have that it's easy to get to. And like you were talking about with the spacing, I think that's important to think about, even if it's just at your backyard, how you're setting everything up. You got to think about what you want people to be doing. So if it's the kind of event where like a lot of times at a family reunion, people are going to be gathering in small groups, and you want people to be able to have those more, intimate conversations. So then maybe you're setting up little clusters of seating and different seating areas and whatnot where people can sit together. But if it's something where you're going to have like a big slideshow or presentation, a graduation party or something where you want everyone to be together and be watching and focused on one thing, then you want everything set up like that. Or maybe you want people to be moving from stations, so you want to make sure that the layout allows for lots of walking around and stuff. So you got to think about all of that kind of stuff.
And you don't necessarily always have to have tables too. I want to really emphasize that if you're having just a snack or some kind of food that they can carry around, forget the tables altogether and just do the chairs. That makes it more convenient for people to have conversations. Where there's not just a huge space in between, and it can save you lots of money on table decorations and settings.
Absolutely. And that's kind of why, and you said after you set the date, the theme, and all of those plans is the very next step. Because if you know what kinds of things you're going to be doing, then you can plan the food accordingly. So you want finger foods, you want, that kind of thing. So then you don't want to plan an event where people are going to be walking around and then have food where they're going to have to sit down and use forks and knives. So that kind of helps you sort of set the plan and the framework for
And the budget.
it ahead of time. Yeah. And even, Angie will also a lot of times for events, not just like table seating, but you set up a lot of things ahead of time.
I do. If it's going to be more of a formal event where there is going to be a full seated table, we have been known to set up a couple of tables in a warehouse or an open space in our office. Go ahead and put the place settings and the decoration centerpieces in there. We've had a couple of times to where we thought we were at a luncheon to where the centerpieces were the main event. And we thought that our centerpiece was fantastic and over the top. And then when we actually set it up, it was not so over the top. So we've got to make adjustments before. So I would suggest if you have that stuff, do that a week in advance if you can. If not, at least a day in advance, because you want to have some extra time to make adjustments if you need to.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, especially centerpieces and things. You don't want it so high that people can't talk to each other across the table or something like that. And then your photo booth props you want to have set up. If you're going to have an activity or a game, do a trial run. If you don't have anybody at the house, grab some neighbors and have them test it out with you to make sure all of your stuff works and all your supplies work.
And I will have all of that stuff. Like if I'm getting ready for an event like I was this week, I will have everything that we're going to be doing at the event in piles to where and ready to load up and go. Don't wait till the last minute to get your stuff together, whether it's candles or a rope for a 3-legged race or anything like that. Have that all prepped and ready to go well in advance.
Right. Yeah. At least a week so you have time to order something on Amazon if something doesn't work.
And get it in time. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Sure.
Yeah. We would always choose to shop at the Dollar Tree, but sometimes they don't carry everything. So you need a couple days to let Amazon get it to you. So, yeah. And so then the other part of prep work is to have all the extra supplies and stuff. So we go to special events and Angie has little boxes, yes, of all the things. And so what kind of stuff goes in like your little kits for the day of?
Number one for Texas would be sunscreen and bug spray. Everywhere we go, we need bug spray. In fact, I was just checking my supply, getting ready for some upcoming events this summer. I always want to have that. You always want to have wet wipes. You always want to have a fully supplied first aid kit, just in case. I can't tell you how many times I personally have needed the first aid kit.
Right.
Just Band-Aids.
Right.
Other things, here lately, we've had to have extra hand sanitizer, extra face mask, and as silly as it sounds, paper towels, Kleenex, all that good stuff.
Yeah, even if you're having the event at home, it really helps to put together, you can get again, like at Dollar Tree or Walmart, the little, the buckets like they use for like a shower or something with the compartments, or like a bigger kind of bucket. Like we use more like, almost looks like a toolbox on top, but it's just like a bucket. And have like scissors, tape, safety pins.
Zip ties.
Zip ties are
always,
really great. Duct tape. All the kind of stuff that you probably have in like your drawer in your kitchen. Everybody has that drawer.
Yes.
Go look in the drawer.
Yes.
You probably already have all that stuff. But if you can get it all together ahead of time, then the day of the event, you're not scrambling. You're not sending, somebody cuts their finger. You're not sending a random neighbor into the house. Oh, go look in one of the drawers in the kitchen for, that kind of thing. So just whatever you can do ahead of time. I think that all goes to just like setting up things ahead of time and whatnot. How you were saying to have everything as much as possible prepared for yourself.
And if you don't have to use it, that's great. But
Right.
you want to have it there. I will tell you, if you're going to make up that little kit, one of my number one go-to is fishing line. So next time you're at Walmart or any department store, grab some fishing line, put that in there, because you can use that to hang stuff and you will never be able to see it because it's clear. It's very strong. You can tie things with it. It's good to have. And
Nice.
with whatever event you're doing. You can use it for so many different
Right?
ways.
Fishing line is like the duct tape of the event planner, right?
Yes, it is. Yes.
There you go. We'll trademark that. That's trademarked. Copyright, you can't do it. So the other thing that helps to have on hand is help.
Yes, I used to be really bad at this, but I will say that you just never know these days of what's going to happen. A year ago, if you were to tell me that an employee was going to be out for 2 weeks because of a pandemic, I would think you were crazy. But here we are. I would say that have somebody to help you the day of. even doing the prep work, that always helps too. A lot of times when I'm setting up, I think I have everything, and then somebody will say, oh, but what about this? So checklist for everything that you need helps too. And then the day of the event, whether it is at your house or somewhere else, if somebody else knows what the plan is, that's always good.
And where all your stuff is.
Yes, you never know if you're going to get caught in traffic or if you're, running a little late, whatever. And then just having an extra set of hands always makes setting up more fun for me.
Yeah, and by all means, we do not mean, hire a professional party planner. I mean, I know when my girls were little, we'd have the babysitter come to birthday parties just to have one extra person there who wasn't, think about like kids parties is every mom has a kid that they're responsible for. And not that we don't all look out for their other moms, but everybody's kind of focused on their own kid. And so it's hard to ask, if you've got a bunch of 3-year-olds, it's hard to ask one of those 3-year-olds moms to go inside and find something for you because then they're leaving their kid, and that kind of thing. Or someone that you can run to the store to go get something if you need something. That
Pick
kind
your
of
best
thing.
girlfriend. That way it makes it a whole lot more fun setting it up. And
yeah, because the event is for you too. So, we want you to be able to have fun with it. So, Angie, what would you say is, as we are wrapping up here, what would you say is your most important tip as we're going into having an event?
I would say the biggest tip I can tell people as no one, the event, if you're planning it, when you're at the event, enjoy the moment. You don't want to be the person that's running around like something's wrong. I made a comment to Ann earlier. It's like a duck on water. Like the duck is very calm on water, but the legs are going at 100 miles an hour. Nobody would ever know that. No one knows if something is wrong at your event. You assume everybody does because you know it, but they don't. So don't, fake it, I would say. If you are stressed out, just be calm. You want everybody else to enjoy the event. And if someone sees the host is very stressed out or running around like crazy, it's hard for them to enjoy it. So just go with the flow.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can do all the prep work. You can have everything together. And then there are some things that you're just not going to be able to fix. So
that's okay. Let it go.
Yeah, getting upset about it is not going to fix it either.
No. In fact,
it took a long time for me to
ruin your day.
Yes, it will ruin your day, and it will kind of ruin some other people's day if they see you miserable, or especially if it's a party for someone else, and then they see that you're struggling and that you're miserable, then they'll feel bad that you're miserable because of them and that kind of thing. So, if there's nothing else that we've learned over the last year and a half or so, it should be that none of this is that important. What's important is getting everybody together, is having a great time with friends and family, getting to spend that time together, getting to make those memories however they happen. And so, you want it to be fun, you want it to go well, but most importantly, you just want it to happen, and you want to enjoy it yourself so that you can all have a great memory, and not the memory of the time that, mom went postal at the backyard barbecue.
Absolutely. And when you take those photos, not only will you have a good time then and talk about it a little bit after, but your time hop in a year, it will come back up and you'll remember what a good time you had. So.
Absolutely. Hopefully you'll remember it sooner than a year from later, but
sure.
But who knows? Maybe you'll remember it forever. Very good. Okay, so thank you guys so much for joining us for this. We had a lot of fun. If you have any questions, be sure to leave them in the comments, and Angie will get to them and ask them. Before we sign off, I'm just going to ask Angie real quick. I'm going to put her on the spot. She did not know this was coming. But I have a feeling. So Angie, as we said, you're in charge of all city special events. We have started to get some questions on the Facebook page. Rockin' 4th of July, is that happening this year?
Yes, it is. It's going to be a little different than it has in years past. We are spreading the joy of the 4th of July around the community. We will be hosting a much smaller Mansfield Rocks is what we're calling it this year at Big League Dreams. Tickets will be available soon for that. So keep an eye out on Facebook page.
And MansfieldRocks.com is the website. It's got all the information. Basically, short version is just that, because like I said, I put Angie on the spot there.
I'm like, fireworks, yes.
Short version is that we will have fireworks on July 3rd. We will have some limited seating. Again, we all know, restrictions are lifting, but we are still being very cautious, especially because Large events require lots of public safety officials and staff, and that has to be our first priority, is their safety. And so because of a number of factors and because things had to be decided a long time ago, we are going to have a limited size for the event, but still plenty of space for everyone to join us. But in addition to the normal event that people are used to at Big League Dreams, we're going to have lots of smaller events. You have different places to watch. And I know a lot of people who do not love the shuttle buses and the lines at Rock and Forth are going to be really thrilled, because there's going to be so many different opportunities for you to watch the fireworks. And in addition to that, we've got stuff going on the day before and the day after. So 3 days of fun this year. Yay! Yes. Because there's nothing Angie does halfway, right, Angie?
That's exactly right. And I will say that the fireworks show this year will probably be the best we've ever had. I will go ahead and say that right now.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Shots fired.
Yes.
Shots fired. The big claims.
Pun intended.
Yes. Yes. Good. So if you have any questions on Rockin' 4th of July, which now, because it's a whole 3-day festival, is Mansfield Rocks. So Mansfield Rocks includes all the different things that are going on. You can go to mansfieldrocks.com. Mm-hmm. You can also go to visit mansfieldtexas.com. Mm-hmm. They've got links to all the information. And I believe mansfieldtexas.gov has a link to it also, and we will more stuff will be coming out on our social media over the next couple weeks as things are finalized and registration is available and stuff like that. So we will have lots more to come on that, but we did want to update you because we are starting to get lots of questions. That we will have fireworks. We'll have more information to come, and because of that, we're going to let Angie get back to work because she has lots to do. She's already working on Christmas, aren't you, Angie?
Sure.
We have to plan everything so far ahead in advance that so many things have to be booked and done. So she's always a couple holidays ahead of us. But we really appreciate her joining us today for this. Again, if you have any questions on your own party, you want some advice on how to set it up, on theme ideas, decor, tips for planning, arranging, anything at all, just leave them in the comments and she will be happy to help you.
Yes, I will.
And we hope you guys have a good afternoon, and
we hope to see you at our next event.
Absolutely, we do. Mansfield rocks.
Mansfield rocks.
Okay, thanks guys, bye. Turn off.